What's up, YouTube? I wanted to make a video. This isn't the first video I've talked about this issue, but it's a little bit more, I guess, in depth on a point that I've made in prior mower videos, and also figured it was a good opportunity to introduce my it's not really a push mower, but it's a self-propelled. Y'all can see in my channel I have a lot more videos on my push mower right there, and getting some work done on it. But you can see it's a pretty nice day out today. We're beginning of March here, 2018, and which means spring is quickly approaching, which means grass is going to be growing, and blah 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 blah, on and on and on. So it's time to get the mowers out and ready. It's not like I haven't been doing that already. Just a few things that I've got to do to finish up on. I did already make some videos on that on my push mower. When I readjusted the valves, realized that don't really have a gasket on the valve cover, and right now there's still not a gasket on the valve cover, and so I'm going to be making a valve cover gasket for that out of that cereal box right there in the seat. And so and that's why there's a tube of gasket sealant on the laying on the engine there, and so that's what's in store for that, and I'll probably be making another video about that. But right now, this is the star of this video, and again, like I said, y'all can go back and see I've got a lot of videos on my riding mower, but this one here, not really a whole lot. And so it's a 22-inch Toro recycler, Briggs & Stratton engine, and again, like I said, self-propelled. You can see the two levers there, self-propelled. And how can I say this? I guess to say that if you were to think of Batman and Robin, this is Robin to the Batman. However, the fun fact is that this mower here, I've had this mower the longest. I actually used to cut my whole yard with this, just under an acre and a half. And so also originally, when I first got this, I had two of them, same exact, and I ended up selling one, and then ended up, a friend of mine gave me another one just like it and had the Kohler engine on it, and I sold it. And anyway, so this mower here, when I know in the previous video I called my riding mower old reliable. This one here is really old reliable, and what I mean is that you guys can watch my other videos. You know, I would say if if we were to say that these are people, you know, my riding mower, there's been more of the drama queen than this one. And now that's not to say that I haven't been doing any kind of maintenance or anything on this. I have been. But when it comes to maintenance and everything, this one here has kind of held my attention the most, and so this one has really been neglected. Not that I like admitting that, but it is the truth. It is the God's honest truth, that, just to be honest. Because again, like I say in other videos on that, I like to do my oil changes once a year, and I actually, this year I did an oil change on this, and I think it's been about 2 years or maybe longer, just to be honest with you, about how long it's been since the last time I did an oil change on this. And anyway, that's what I'm saying. I've already had it out this year. Did an oil change on it. I noticed another thing that's been neglected on this mower is the cutting edge on the blade was completely round, and so I'm going to, I did already start sharpening it, but I'm going to do some more sharpening on it Really, it needs to be replaced, but I think I can get maybe 1 or 2 more cutting seasons out of it, and then buy a new blade for it. But nonetheless, now that I said, with everything that I just said, this mower starts the first pull. See, it says right here, ready to start, no prime, no choke, and that's true. I don't have to do anything. I just jerk that rope, usually most of the time just one time, and it starts right up. And that's saying something. I mean, I can't tell you the last time I have put a new air filter in it, but it's not new. Matter of fact, that's another thing I had to do this year, was I pulled out the air filter and I blew it out. And also the spark plug there, at one point in time I think I put that in new, but it's not new. So one thing I did do, I made a video about a lawnmower cooling system, and that was on that engine. But while I was doing that engine, I went ahead and pulled this one out, pulled the motor apart, and blew it out, blew all the fins out and everything, and got it so it won't overheat either. And speaking of overheating and the cooling system on lawnmowers, Redneck Computer Geek made a video concerning that, and he actually tore apart an engine that somebody had allowed all those fins to get filled up with junk and everything, and the engine overheated and it seized up, and I think it snapped the rod or something like that. So I would suggest y'all go over to his channel and try to look that video up and see why it's so important to clean those out. Anyway, so on to the point of this video and why I'm making this video, which you can see right here. I've got a fuel filter and a shutoff valve, and I'm going to be talking about this, and I'm also going to be installing these on this mower. Now the thing is that people might ask, you know, how can you install those on this push mower? It's not like a riding mower that's got its, you know, gas tank up there and da 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 blah blah blah. And I think most people are more familiar with this kind of Briggs & Stratton engine, where the carb is mounted to the gas tank, and that's where those have the disadvantage. And I'll be covering that a little bit more here in a minute. I got a carburetor I'm going to be talking some more about this on, but on this mower here, I noticed when I took it apart, I just took the screws out of this. When I took it apart to clean it, let me see if I can show y'all here. Right here, let's see. It's the fuel filter, or I'm sorry, the fuel line. You can see where this is touching. That's the fuel line. So this gas tank has a fuel line that goes from the gas tank to the carburetor. So, which means I can put in a shutoff valve and a fuel filter. Now, you know, some people might say that, you know, you've had that mower for so long now and it still starts the first pull. You know, why are you going to worry about it now? Well, again, that comes back to budget. I know a lot of people like to think that mowers are disposable, but they're not. At least not for me, anyway. I couldn't tell you the last time I've had a brand new mower. I don't think I've ever owned a brand new mower myself. And so, so I've got to keep what I have going. And so, also with lawn mowers, most of your push mowers, a matter of fact, I don't know very many push mowers, at least Briggs & Stratton, that has a fuel filter. Most of them, what they have is right here where the fuel line comes out or hooks up to the gas tank right there. There's just a screen in there. Other than that, it really doesn't have a fuel filter to keep the junk out of the carburetor. And so, so that's why I'm putting that on, the fuel filter. Now, to explain the fuel valve, the shutoff valve, I'm going to go in here to my bench and show y'all a carburetor that I have and explain to y'all again. Like I said, this is a topic I've talked about in other videos, and there's other videos on YouTube where they talk about hydrolock, and so that's what this is covering. So hold on just one second. Okay guys, so I'm here at my bench, and you'll see that this is an older style, I guess they call it the Flowjet style Briggs & Stratton carburetor. Comes off of the really old, like, flathead Briggs & Stratton, mostly found in riding mowers and stuff. But it'll work for what I need it to show y'all, to demonstrate what I'm talking about. Because it does have the parts on it that I'm going to be covering. And so people talk a lot about hydrolock and the causes of it, and you know, there's a lot of people out there that say that it's this and not that, or the other, you know, vice versa. It's the other parts and not this. What they'll say is that it's the needle valve and float, which is what this is. Needle valve right there and float, or it's the fuel solenoid. On new mowers, on new riding mowers, you mount this bowl on there, and then this is what holds that on there. But on new mowers, in which you can look it up on YouTube, and also I've got some videos on it, this has been replaced by fuel solenoid with 2 wires coming into the bottom of it. And anyway, so in those videos they talk, you know, several different videos, they talk about you know, this not being the cause, that it's the needle valve that's causing it, or vice versa. They're saying that, you know, the other way around. And so I finally came to the conclusion that I believe it's a combination of all of these. To rule out that it's not one but it's the other, or vice versa, I don't agree with that. I believe it's a combination of all these parts failing. And so what I'm trying to talk about, or what I'm saying is that so this is where the fuel hose connects into from the gas tank. Your fuel comes in here, and it comes out through this little hole right here, right there. And what goes inside that is the needle valve. Okay, and so what it is that this mounts on there just like that. And so as the fuel gets fuller and fuller in that bowl, this will start to rise. This float will rise, and it will shove that needle valve. I dropped it. Hold on one second. And it shoves that needle valve up in there. And what it's supposed to do is cut off the fuel flow after that bowl is full. Okay, so the issue with these needle valves is and this one, excuse me guys, this one's no different. It's got a rubber tip. Also on some of your new ones, these are made out of plastic. This one's metal, but some of those are made out of plastic, and they got rubber tips and stuff. And so there's a lot of videos out there that say to rebuild your carburetor and to replace that needle valve. So the needle seat, I mean, right there, that brass part in there, that's the needle seat, to replace that. And also to replace the needle valve. Then the other videos, like I said, they say the fuel solenoid is the cause, is the culprit. Now, I will say that in almost all of my findings, which if you ask me, again, like I said, all of these components, but this is usually the dirtiest one out of them all. and it's the one that I find the most in disrepair. And so what happens is, let me get my screwdriver. Again, like I said, the fuel comes in here, it comes out through here, and then goes up in this one right here, goes up inside and goes into your engine. Out. This is the this is where the air filter would go, and this is the intake side where it would bolt to the engine. It would go up in this tube right here and come out in here and go into your engine. So the thing is that there's a lot of different videos out there. You know, they say to rebuild your carburetor, put a needle seat valve, needle seat and needle valve, new needle seat, just to rebuild the carburetor and replace those parts, the needle valve and all of that. Also, there's a lot of videos that say, you know, that just show you how to replace the fuel solenoid or also modify it, and on and on and on and on and on. There's all kinds of videos. And so the thing is that, you know, rebuilding it will help. But the problem is this, the new fuel that we have these days, ethanol. It's got ethanol in it. And the ethanol fuel, for whatever reason, it's kind of like mama's food, you know, sticks to your ribs. Well, ethanol likes to stick to stuff. Excuse me. And so it creates issues in all of these areas that I just showed you. All of these. Creates issues in the fuel solenoid, creates issues in there, creates issues in there, creates issues in there. And especially if it's allowed to sit in those areas for any amount of period of time. And so, and it gets expensive. It can get expensive always having to buy rebuild kits and rebuild your carburetor over and over and over again. It can even get expensive to have to take your carburetor off every year. And hold on a second. It can even get expensive taking your carburetor off every year and cleaning it out. It can get expensive. Even if you're doing it yourself, it can kind of get strenuous year after year. Now, one thing I will say about my mowers that I think that helps me, there's a couple of things, but one of the things I'm going to be talking about, but the other one I wasn't going to cover is that I keep my mowers inside. They stay in my garage and they're not outside in the weather or in the elements. So I think that's one of the things that helps me. Nonetheless, that does not save me completely from the issues I'm talking to you about the ethanol gas sitting in here and creating issues with these parts. And so what I'm trying to talk to you about today is how to save yourself the headache, the time, the money, all of these things that you have to deal with because of this ethanol gasoline. And it's one simple solution. It's one most definite budget-friendly way to handle this, and it's also very easy to do. So hold on a second and I'll show you what that is. Yes, that's right. It's the fuel valve, the fuel shutoff valve. That's what it is. When I shut my mower off, my riding mower, which I haven't had one of these on this, but I will after today. When I shut my riding mower off, I don't shut it off electrically. I always shut it off using the fuel valve. Let me show you guys. See? Right there. Never do I shut it off electrically. I always shut it off with the fuel valve. I kill it that way. It runs all the gas out of the carburetor. I don't have to worry about the gas sitting in the carburetor creating issues. And I've rebuilt the carburetor in that one time, and that's it. I've never had any issues since then. And I'm about to do the same thing on this mower. I'm going to put this in it. Now, granted, I've never had any issues with this carburetor, but I don't want to have issues with it. And so that's why I'm putting this on. That's why I'm putting that fuel filter on, because I don't want to have any issues with it. And so just wanted to show you guys the way that this works, the way that it can prevent you from having expensive repairs, carburetor rebuilds, carburetor replacements, carburetor cleanings, all that stuff. This right here is what will prevent that from happening. So you guys, I hope you guys look into this. This is $4. I don't know how much they're charging for rebuild kits, or to rebuild a carburetor, or to replace a carburetor, or carburetor cleanings, all of that stuff. But this was $4 today. And so I figure that's a whole lot cheaper than I know most shops would be charging, a whole lot more than $4. So hopefully you guys will check that out and look into that. Again, like I said, if you got that kind of mower right there where the carburetor is mounted to the gas tank, you can't do this. But if you got this kind, I would definitely jump on it, and that's what I'm fixing to do to this mower. So again, guys, this is just a video to show y'all budget-friendly ways to keep your mower equipment going and going and going for years to come. So again, I'm not gonna, after I put that on there, I'm gonna have to affix this so that I can hold that while the mower runs itself out of gas. So that's all it takes. So anyway, guys, so again, like I said, I hope this video helps somebody, and I hope that, you know, these are just tricks, and I make these videos because I'm not sponsored by anybody. I don't make money off of these videos at all. It's just a way of sharing my wisdom and what I've learned over the years, and also what will help you to keep your mowers running and running and running. If you don't have a budget like other people do who seem to believe that mowers are disposable, well then these are things that will help. So y'all take care and God bless.